Meantime, the Iranian regime is facing several setbacks this year, with Israel decimating its proxy forces and its nuclear program. It is now weaker and more vulnerable to an attack, and that could present options for the incoming Trump administration how to approach the Iran nuclear threat. Mike Pompeo is a Fox News contributor and former Secretary of State, and we are so lucky to have you this morning. Happy holidays to you. Thanks for joining us. I want to play a quick soundbite for you from Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor, here on not only Iran's weakened state, but why that might actually be a problem. They might be desperate for nuclear weapons here. Let's unpack it.
If you're Iran right now and you're looking around at the fact that your conventional capability has been reduced, your proxies have been reduced, your main client state has been eliminated, Assad has fallen, it's no wonder there are voices saying, hey, maybe we need to go for a nuclear weapon right now. It's a risk that I'm personally briefing the incoming team on, and it's something that is the consequence not of Iranian strength, but of Iranian weakness.
Agree with that, Secretary?
Well, first of all, happy holidays to you as well. When we step back from what's taken place over the last now year and change in the Middle East, we can see that America is a lot more at risk. We certainly know that Israel was, with the atrocities of October 7th, that so many have seemed to have moved past. The Iranians are weaker. There's no doubt about it. The leadership of Hamas is destroyed. The leadership of Hezbollah is destroyed. No thanks to this administration. President Biden told them to stand down. If they'd done that when they had been told to do so by the Americans, these terrorists would still be alive, killing folks. The Iranian regime will have to be dealt with by President Trump. I'm confident he will go back to a model which tries to get to a better outcome. There's no harm in trying to see if the Iranians have changed their stripes, but they've never negotiated. They've always understood that power was the most important thing, and I think President Trump will see that. We see it in all the things he's saying already from Mar-a-Lago. I'm confident he will deliver a policy with respect to Iran that puts more pressure on the regime, gives the Iranian people an opportunity for freedom and liberty, and protects America in a way that always puts our country first.
Yeah, Mike, that's what a lot of Iranian activists say all the time, that Iran does not respond to diplomacy, that it only understands strength. We saw that with the Trump administration the previous time around. The Biden White House is leaving here hoping that the Trump administration negotiates a brand new nuclear deal. Is that smart, or should we hold Iran accountable for everything they did these last few years? I mean, we saw what they did with Israel, the proxy war. How should we hold them accountable?
When we were, the question is exactly right. When we were working this very same problem set, we built out what became the Abraham Accords, and it was aimed at peace and prosperity in the region, but also understood that the threat of nuclear proliferation, the weapon systems about which all these leaders are really circling, right? Will Iran end up with a nuclear weapon? That can't be permitted. There will be massive proliferation. More countries will decide to get a nuclear weapon. I'm convinced that President Trump understands that deeply. We had worked to put enormous economic pressure on the regime so that they had no capability to build out that weapons program, that broad nuclear-based program that the world so fears, because an Iran with a nuclear weapon on October 7th would have been a fundamentally different problem set for Israel and the Middle East and for the United States. So we got to get that one right. We have to make sure they never get there. And a new sheriff in town, a new leader in just, goodness, under 4 weeks now will make an enormous amount of difference, Aisha.
So really quickly here, we just have about 30 seconds left. Russia sending certainly a very different message with this Christmas Day surprise attack in Ukraine, basically hitting their energy infrastructure. General Keith Kellogg, who is the incoming special envoy to Russia and Ukraine, basically said that this was wrong. The world is watching. The U.S. is more resolved than ever to bring peace to the region. Just a quick question for you before we go here. Can this president, as he's promised over and over, he wants to end this war, can he do that without Ukraine ceding land?
The problem set in Europe fundamentally happened directly because of the absence of American leadership and American deterrence. In the same way that what happened on October 7th was a failure of American leadership. Right. What we saw yesterday, these attacks, these Christmas Day attacks, were serious. President Trump understands this. He's been talking about a conversation with Vladimir Putin that will inevitably have to happen. You have to convince Vladimir Putin that the cost of continuing this conflict exceeds the benefit. And when you don't do that, you get innocents killed all across Ukraine for now over 2 years, coming on 3.
Okay.
American leadership is important. That will mean leading the Europeans to do what it is they need to do. This is in their backyard. This is a European conflict. President Trump understands that, and we did it for 4 years. We had kept Vladimir Putin from invading Ukraine when President Obama couldn't do that, and President Biden clearly didn't either. I'm convinced President Trump and his team can build back a model which will protect America, protect Europe, and make the world more peaceful and stronger as we move into 2025, Aisha.
Got it. Okay, Secretary Pompeo, thank you for joining us. Hope you have a safe holiday.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.